Putting out fires is today's topic of conversation. We were going to the grocery store, and then... what?
And it was hot as fire.
No, yeah, right. Literally.
That's what I was just thinking.
Car read 106,
Dude.
which
Insane.
probably close to what it actually feels like, if not
It's
more.
102 right now, so.
Yeah, I believe it. But putting out fires was one of the topics that we talking on the podcast. And Don, what did you say? You were like putting out fires like because there's a wildfire close by?
Oh my gosh, there's like a 400-acre wildfire about...
Texas is super notorious, like not like California maybe,
not like California.
But it does happen a lot, and I don't think it gets reported as much because it's not. I don't think they're as big as what happens in
Well, we
California.
haven't had any rain in months.
That's
we
not true.
sound like old people.
That's not true though.
It's literally been months since we've had rain. When is the last day? Yeah, Siri.
No, it's probably been a month since we've had a lot of rain. But so I said no, not putting out actual fires. I meant putting out fires like at work.
Yeah.
Or with your work,
Yeah.
because, and I don't remember what prompted this thought when I was taking notes for the show and just personally, but every day that we wake up, if you got to go to work, you got to go to the office, or you got to go to your desk or chair, which is in your house, that is your office. It's all about just putting fires out, right? So we wake up and we have to immediately think about, all right, what fires am I going to put out there? Especially if you're on a leader level of corporate world, or if you're an entrepreneur and all you have to do is put out fires. Like that's literally, like you might as well be called a fireman or firewoman, if that's a thing. Because
Fire person.
God, get out of here. Because it is what it is. And then you finish with, your work obligations and you get home, or if you're already home, like, I got
putting out more fires.
all these fires to deal with kids and schools and extracurricular and my relationship with my family, and this friend's annoying. And they're all essentially fires you have to put out. So how people handle those, I think, is going to dictate a lot of your success. It's going to dictate a lot of the longevity in what you're doing, because you got to learn how to put out fires somewhat efficiently in order to keep going. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I wouldn't say putting out fires for others, but putting out, like, managing fires for yourself. Yeah, more so than anything. Like, how do you manage the fires around you, right?
How's that different from what I said?
Well, you said putting out the fires of others. Well, I
didn't say others.
Oh, that's what I thought. Let's rewind. But anyway, yes.
Rewind. Jinx. No, just putting out fires in general.
Yeah. I get you.
But yeah, you probably, from the top comes down and be like, hey, we've got this going on. Who's putting it out? Who's hands on deck, and what's happening? Excuse me. And a lot of people don't know how to deal with, I guess, pressure all the time, constantly, efficiently, and they start to kind of crumble. And I don't have a ton of examples I can give in the corporate world. It's been so long, but it is funny to see how much people will freak out about something that it has a process. It just might be slow, and the people in power are like, well, that's not fast enough. I'm like, well, guy, this is the thing. Like, give it the day for this transportation thing to take place, or this group to get into town or out of town or whatever. But we're also like, we want to go so fast.
Yeah.
We want results so quickly. We got people,
It's instant gratification, right? It's why we have fast food restaurants.
Yeah.
We're just impatient.
Well, bosses, and for the most part, not all, some are great, but a lot of the times they're under pressure from somebody else, right?
It's someone's giving pressure to someone. It's coming from the top, right?
Yeah. So,
and I think when you just kind of boil down to it, they say, diamonds are made under pressure. It's like, that the way you can handle that says a lot about somebody. One thing, and I've learned from you, and I will reiterate to everyone, and I tell everyone on my team or even friends or family, it's not that crucial.
Yeah.
It's really not that crucial.
Unless it's life or death.
And exactly. And my senior leader tells our team all the time, we don't save lives for a living.
Yeah.
And unless you do, then it definitely makes sense. But I don't. I don't save lives for a living. When you're on paid time off, PTO, take it off. Don't check your phone. Don't do this. Don't do that.
Yeah.
It can be managed by other people. And if it's not, it'll be there when you get back.
Yeah.
It might be bigger, but, it's just weird. It's weird how people handle things differently, right? Not everybody's made to deal with pressure the same way. And that's why that's how the world goes around.
We're in a culture of here in America that we're so goal driven, and I think that's great. And we're very materialistic driven, which is great to a degree, because I think consumerism drives innovation.
It does.
So I love it or hate it. I think it's great to a degree. But I'd asked my brother the other day, are you a good vacationer? And he thought about it. He's like, I've never even had that question asked to me. I almost don't even know what that means. And he thought about it. He's like, no, I'm not a good vacationer. And a big part of that is because so many people that are doing something well and are recognized for doing something well have a hard time stepping away from that, even if it's just for a weekend or a week, especially, or longer. 2 weeks, let's say that you have a 2-3+ week vacation or whatever. You just take time off because you're a business owner and you can do that because you think it's going to be, and it would be great for you and your family or whatever to get away and kind of what do you call it? Rejuice or
Relax,
recharge.
Replug, yeah.
Yeah, replug.
Oh,
Wow.
Unplug. Well, that's where I was going with it. Like, I want you to finish your thought, and I want to finish what I'm going to think.
So we talked about it a little bit in the car. We just went to the convenience store to get some ice. They didn't have any ice at the house. And it was a fun little convo because I like asking people that, and I like hearing people talk about that and I told him, I was like, I think it's because partially it was how we grew up. Like, our father's not good at taking time off, has never taken time off from anything. Like,
right.
It's constantly just like, I got 1,000,001 things to do. I'll be 34 in 2 months. And when I talk to him and he tells me that, I'm like, I've been hearing that my entire life. And he's not there are things to do.
Yeah.
But it's not
to take care of the cows.
Yeah, I got the cows. I got this truck. I got this. Yeah. And it's true,
dog.
but it's not to the point
It's
where
not that crucial.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
He'd be better off taking some time for himself and my mom or the
Right.
family. And they did. Recently, they came up and visited where we are now.
Great for like 2 days.
Yeah, it was great. But I know he just went right back. And that was probably the first time he'd gotten away like that in the last year. And then prior to that.
Coming back.
Yeah, but my
Still,
point
I
is
know
to
what
most
you're
people
saying,
who are they're in their 60s, like
Yeah.
you should be doing that more often. Young people, I think it's great. Trust me, of all people, I've never taken. You and I have taken one vacation, and before that, I didn't even know what a vacation was. I really don't have an interest in it. But even if you don't go away, I think in order to just be at your best, you gotta be able to just unplug.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, there's been times when I'm like, oh, you know what? I would like to do a tiny cabin, which is my
Or the treehouse.
yeah, and unplug. But that means like no internet, and I don't think you could survive.
I think it's a cool thought, a novel thought, but after a day, you're like,
No, I don't, and that's what I mean. Like maybe a day and a half.
But honestly, I think we do that already. Our phones are always on do not disturb.
Well, I would say this was prior to that. So since we've moved to the Hill Country, we're both remote. We're both really like dug in deep into what we're doing, entrepreneurship and corporate. Like, my phone's on do not disturb all the time. There's very select individuals that are able to get through, and that's usually for emergency purposes only. Like, I'll get off work and I'll see 20 missed messages, or I'll check it periodically throughout the day, but it's not ding, ding, ding constantly going off all day, notifications from the gram or whatever. It's just, if it's crucial, if you're my boss or you're my coworkers, you can get through, and if not, then okay, peace out. We'll see you later. But I think it's so necessary, especially in this day and era, like to be able to unplug, like really just, and not necessarily just for like your mental health, but for your kids' mental health. Like, how often do your kids see you on the phone and like, you know what I mean? Like, be able to do that. And I know this is totally going down a different segue in a different
I don't care. I like it.
But yeah, like to unplug, like, oh, well, you're always on your phone or whatever. Like, I don't ever want my kids to be like, well, mommy and Robert, they're on their phone all the time and they don't have time to pay attention to me or play with me. Like, I will even say, like, in the middle of my workday, if it's kind of quiet and if Weston comes in and says, hey, mommy, do you have time to play spider heck with me or a round of Aikido? He's into this Aikido thing. Do you have a time? And I'm like, you know what, bud? I sure do. And if I don't, I'm going to make time, 15 minutes or take 30 minutes out of the day to take the kids to the pool, like impromptu. Like, I think those things are so important.
Or do it on your lunch hour.
Yeah, we have to be able to like show the kids that, hey, it's not all about that too, because they're coming up in a different day and time and era and everything than what we did, right? We had to have this conversation with them about gratitude, right? And was it gratitude? Was that the word?
That was the word. That was
the gratitude
me.
about how, you know what, when we were your age, and we sound like our parents when we say stuff like that,
Yeah.
but also it's like,
There's validity to it, though.
Kid, we didn't have tech. We didn't have a tablet. We didn't have the internet in our pocket. We didn't have air conditioning. I didn't have air conditioning till I was a freshman in high school. Like, that's crazy. It's also 113 outside. How did I survive?
Dude.
That's why the house is at 62 at night and we're okay with it. But yeah, if you ever come over to HQ, just know.
Which you never will.
Yeah, no. Hey, our family does. But anyway.
Don't come either.
Yeah.
It's
You're
fine.
horrible. You're a horrible person.
It's fine.
You're like, and I'm okay with
It's
it.
fine.
Just don't ever visit. We're cool.
You ever seen that clip of Logic where somebody asked him a question
I
about
don't
like,
even like that guy.
love Logic? What are you talking about?
Oh, I'm thinking of NF.
Yeah, I don't like NF.
Sorry. Anyway.
But they asked me a question about going out and partying. Like, how do you handle like Hollywood and scene? He's like,
I don't.
Oh, have you seen it? He's like, I don't F with nobody. I just stay home, play with my dog, my fiance, my friends, and stay home. I got everything at home. I just don't F with anybody.
Yeah. Exactly.
He was so matter of fact about it. I was like, I like that. Yeah, you're
exactly.
right.
Yeah, no, and we have become very, and it's not even reclusive. It's just to ourselves. Like, and I like that. We have our group of people, our inner, circle, and if you're not in, I'm sorry, try to wedge
very
your
hard
way
to get in.
It's hard to get in. I don't have time for people's shenanigans or nonsense.
It's family
All that
included.
To say, yeah, that's fires,
Yeah.
to go back. But anyway, no, I feel like it's necessary to unplug. I want to definitely take another vacation, whatever that means, even if it's with our close friends or whatever, just to get away, like out of the house. I mean, I'm more of a busybody than you are. And when I say that, I mean, like, I need to get out. I'm going stir crazy. I've been in the cabin too long. I get up, I go to my computer, I get off, I go to the couch. I'm working on from the couch. I'm not even watching TV because I don't watch TV unless it's the Astros.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to get out Costco, drive my caddy.
Yeah.
my hoopty. Robert called my car a hoopty the other day and her air conditioner went out.
It came back.
You still called her a hoopty. You hurt her feelings.
That's all right.
She is a hoopty.
Excuse me.
Don't listen.
Great white buffalo.
That's what we call her.
Yeah. So I
took this totally way.
No, that's fine.
Way far away.
I actually like the conversation because another point that I had jotted down was just that we all also want to monetize everything in today's culture, and I think that's great. I think you should be trying to monetize your time and your skill set in I guess proportion to the value that you're putting into that time,
right,
and whatever the value proposition is to the people, media, a product, a service, whatever, or if you're just working, that's fine too. And we can talk about trading time for money because I love that topic.
Oh, that's a good topic.
But yeah, like I think just taking the time off to do something that's not going to be monetized is okay. For me,
relax, reframe, rejuvenate. Like I feel.
Well, just do and think of. Like, we don't have hobbies nowadays anymore. There are no hobbies. Everything that we do has to be monetized in one way or another. And I can appreciate that sentiment coming from a hustler like myself that was flipping Pokemon cards in, middle school or selling Nintendo,
right,
games and flipping and this, that, and the other. I've always understood and appreciated the game of making $1 from however you can and however you want legally without hurting people. But a lot of people now can't even have a hobby. They can't enjoy anything. And whether it's playing the guitar or playing video games, like anything you do like has to be framed around this window of like, how is it going to make money? And I think that's unfortunate because people are starting to just not enjoy stuff. Because once you get paid for something, it gets really hard to just have it be the thing that you enjoy doing.
Right.
And for most entrepreneurs, more than anybody, I would say you fall guilty or victim to that than anyone else because it's all about, okay, I'm doing my own thing all the time.
Right.
The thing I'm doing that no one else is compensating me for, that I'm not getting a check from anywhere else, needs to make money. So that is a really fine line.
I said that all the time about cooking, right? Because I love to cook, and I was like, I never want to have a restaurant or anything because it'll take the passion and the love away from it. And now I don't cook at all, but let's make America hobbyists again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, seriously. Like, I mean, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see, like, prior to coming into your adulthood, what were some of the hobbies? And I shouldn't even say adulthood, but like, what have been some of your past hobbies? Like, what have you done that wasn't monetized?
I mean, it was always just kind of like fiddling with the guitar. Video games is probably number one for the longest time. And even still, like, I would love for Weston and I to have like a game stream or compete in gaming of some sort, like, just adult kid kind of tournaments would probably be fun or whatever.
Podcasting.
And podcasting especially.
Yeah.
Those would all be things that would be fun to monetize and would be like the dream, right?
Dream job.
Yeah, dream job of anybody
that's
into it. If you're not into it, you're probably like, I don't care about podcasting and video games. But for me, that was
listen to ours, guys.
Yeah, for sure. My hobbies, I've been fortunate to monetize them to a degree.
Right.
Excuse me. But there's a lot of times because they do take time that you don't want to put time into the thing.
Time is money.
So you're like, oh man, like yesterday, I hadn't played a video game that wasn't with Weston in 6 weeks.
Oh my God. And he played. And when he played, he said he played. My mom came over, visited, he played. He did not
I had nothing to say to your mom. I was like, hi.
Yeah, well, no. I mean, her and I were deep in conversation.
Yeah, y'all were doing something. I wasn't
but
going
it
to
was just
stop.
hilarious. Robert was like the most antisocial I've ever seen him be. And it was just like, and I was okay with that. But you were into that game. It was a baseball game.
It was MLB The Show 23.
Yeah.
And I just kind of discovered cloud gaming on Xbox Game Pass, which I hadn't really messed with. Because since I remember you asked me the question, so I just want to finish that point. Like, what were the hobbies? It's probably always been fiddling with guitar and video games as far as like hobby, cars, but that's an expensive hobby, like super expensive hobby. So when I had my Xbox, I've always had an Xbox. My first one, my siblings gifted to me, I think when I was like 12 or 13. Great. Ever since then, I've been hooked on Xbox like exclusively.
Shout out Garza.
Yeah, shout out to my siblings. And I got like a 360, and then I got the Xbox One, which Weston has now. The 360 I had put away when the year before I started my cryotherapy business. I put it away in the closet in 2015. Didn't play it at all. The next year, we opened the brick and mortar place, and then from 16 to like 18, beginning of 19, we were running that, and I didn't touch it. And then somewhere in 19, gifted it to like a relative of yours. So I hadn't played video games at all, not once, and not even at the time with a roommate that I had who was a huge gamer. We never once, I don't think, played a game. So from 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, about 6-ish years, never played. And it's one of the things I enjoy the most. And I didn't play them again until
Weston,
which was...
Well, he's been playing for a while.
He was 3.
Yeah, like so 17, 18.
3, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all, now it's been 6 years since then, but there was a gap of about 6 years or so where I didn't play it at all.
Right.
And I thought to myself, if I'm going to play it, like I should start a stream immediately and try to monetize it somehow.
Exactly. You took your hobby and tried to monetize
Exactly. And it was just, it's not that it's not enjoyable, but there's so many other noises that like, that was the one thing where you could just kind of put on the headset, put on a controller and just veg out. Some people like to watch crappy reality TV. Some people like to go for walks in the woods. I like to just put,
I don't know anybody that likes to walk in the woods.
I knew some weirdos. That sounds like a Theo Vaughn story.
Yeah.
I used to just go in the woods and just like, if I don't come out, I don't come out. That's something Theo would say.
So funny.
I came out 48 hours later. I didn't know where I was. But
with a bear.
Yeah. With a raccoon in one hand.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I challenge you guys, last episode, I challenged you guys to just start working out if you hadn't, and if you were, step it up.
Yeah.
And now I kind of just challenge you to have a hobby back in your life that you've maybe neglected or that you've constantly tried to monetize and then lost kind of interest in because of it. So maybe you too. I don't know. What about you? What are your hobbies that you had before?
Man, I love photography. I don't even know if, honestly, since we have been together,
Never.
Well, you didn't know. I mean, I took a photography class in college where I developed my own photos. I love it. I did
too. I had a Canon T1 something, TI something.
Yeah, mine was like film. Like, I processed the film in the dark room and everything. It was so fantastic. I had a photography business way back in the day. I will say like 20 years ago for a brief amount of time. But photography, I love photography. I love art in general. Like, I like to paint. I like pastels.
Oh yeah, you like those crafty.
I like crafty things. I'm not a crafty person, but I like.
It's a cool hobby.
It's fun. It's just fun. I'm not good at it. I mean, but it's just fun. Like, I can do enough. And cooking, I love to cook. There's nothing when you were talking about like putting headphones on and walking in the woods. Mine is like in the kitchen. I can't do headphones. It sounds really crazy when I'm cooking. I have to have a speaker, and the reason why is like it mutes my senses, and I feel like it dampens my taste buds.
I didn't say put headphones on and walk into the woods. I said you're either walking in the woods or you're putting a headset to play video games.
I know, but I took them together.
Imagine that psycho that's walking into the woods with noise canceling headphones.
No, but that's what I can't put headphones on and cook well because it like takes one of my senses away. Does that make sense?
No, but I understand. Coming from you, it makes sense. Yes.
You take away a sense and you just can't do it. Guys,
not taking away the sense.
You're like muting it. You're muting whatever. It's not even muting. I don't even know the word. I know what I'm trying to say.
You're hindering it.
There you go.
Okay, I got you.
Jeez.
Yikes.
Yeah, words are hard sometimes. So cooking is one of them, and I took that away from me when I started meal prepping for other people. Photography, art of any sort, painting, things like that. Other than that, working out is a passion of mine. But
I was going to say gym, but then that's
like longevity. Like I do that because for my health, I do that for a purpose. The other ones are just for like relaxing.
Yeah, but then you monetize that.
But journaling, I used to love to journal.
Yeah, same.
And I actually was speaking to my therapist. As you all know, I'm a big proponent of mental health and therapy, should you need it. And she was like, you should start journaling again. And I'm like, oh man, it's so hard to make the time, but it's not really. Like I have the gratitude journal. I have the life story that I'm supposed to be writing. I have all of this on my desk at work, and then I sit down and I get on my desk. And so I need to put it in a space. So I'm thinking like I want to put like a couch in my office. So then I go sit on that couch and then I write in it every day. Like, I don't know.
I'm not mad at that idea. I think it's good. But here's what I tell myself. Anytime I have that same thought where I'm like, I want to do this thing, but I'm going to change a variable before I do it.
No.
Okay, if you do it now, when it's harder for you to do,
right.
What do you think the odds are of you doing it when you make it easier for you to do? So if it's hard right now without the couch, without the lighting, without the ambiance, and you can't do it, just do it now when it's hard and you don't have all that, so that when you do add the ambiance, the couch, and the lighting, you're going to, be even more excited to do it.
True. Yeah, you're right. I just need to get up and do it. It's kind of like the alarm clock thing.
Yeah.
And which I've done really good at. Like, we talked about that on the last podcast or 2 podcasts ago, like not hitting snooze. Man, it's been a game changer. And I don't know if any of you guys have tried it or even attempted to try it. I had someone reach out and say, ooh, I'm really guilty of this. I'll have to try like once or twice a week. And let me know if that worked out for you and if you actually tried it. It's been fantastic for me. I've loved it. I've been less groggy throughout the day. I've taken less C4. I like the taste of C4, so I'm sponsor our podcast.
We're gonna get them.
Yeah,
I swear.
The strawberry starburst, guys. If you haven't had it, the Skittles is right up there, but the strawberry
found out was pretty good too.
Cherry, it depends on my mood, but yeah, strawberry starburst.
Everything depends on your mood.
So the fires. Jeez.
No, not the fires.
No, fires at work. Yeah, I think we wanted to go back to that.
Okay, fine.
Just a little bit. No,
okay.
and how I do it, because you talked about a little bit like what that looks like. And I just wanted to say, like, for me, when it comes to fires and it comes to fires in the workplace, what I do, and I think I mentioned to you earlier, like how I come to my leader with a solution. So, hey, here's the problem, but also here's the solution. Don't come to someone with just the problem. That's so annoying in your relationship, in your work relationships, in anything. If I come to you and it's just like, hey, I have this problem, like, here's the solution that I think, or, whatever. No, I do come to you and ask you. No, not never. I come to you and I usually come to vent, and then I'm like, hey, don't give me a solution.
Exactly. You're like, don't be a problem solver. Yeah, I'm like, but that's what men tend to do. That's what we try to do.
I just want you to listen. And so I do preface it, hey, just venting here, like blah, blah, blah. That's where journaling would be good for me. I could just vent to my journal, and then I could come to you and say, hey, I was venting to my journal and I came up with a solution. What are your thoughts on this? And I think that's probably a better way to reframe things for me.
Hey, you just had a breakthrough.
Yeah, I do that. Every once
That's
in
why
a while.
podcasting's awesome.
Yeah, that's why what?
Podcasting's awesome.
I just said productizing. I'm like, what are we
productizing? Is awesome as well. Like we're doing a product right now. This podcast is a product.
Exactly. 100%.
Go to robertgarzmedia.com, sign up for the newsletter, get all the product information there.
Speaking of monetizing your hobbies.
Yep. Yeah, well, at this point, it's not even a hobby. It's a job.
No, it's fun.
It's my favorite job. Like, this is the best thing I get to do, whether I do it myself or I do it with the Blings or I do it with anyone I've ever got to do it in the past, either just on production alone or if they've allowed me to be a co-host or if they've said, chime in here or there.
It's fun.
It's the best.
I didn't think I would like it as much as I do, and I have become a better conversationalist over the past couple of years, which, shout out to my well, to you, but also to my corporate job. Honestly, it's made me that way. Like, I do presentations for hundreds of people multiple times a week, and it just makes you a different person. Be able to, just communicate.
Yeah.
Communication is key. I tell everyone, communication is a key to every successful relationship, personal or professional. You will not find a better skill that you can work on, develop, that will make your life easier, better, and just more awesome.
Having podcasted for this long, one of the things that I would pride myself on, I feel like Weston.
Way he does. He literally did that to me the other day. You're a pro at Spider Head.
Yeah, and he wasn't using it right at first, but now he's using it more appropriately, correctly. But I would, pride myself to do that again on being able to recall things. So, if I'm having a conversation, it's very rare that I do something with notes. I've almost never, even in all the years of the past of doing other shows that I had started and I would interview people, I almost never, probably ever, with the exception of 1 or 2 times, had notes on the person or the thing. I was just always had genuine curiosity, and the conversations what I would think flow pretty well. Organically, right? But here as of late too, re-changing the way that we do things with working out and our eating and our sleeping and all this stuff. I think that has kind of leveled up a little bit again, was like just recalling things. So to recall our conversation earlier in the car, I wanted to talk about, or we were talking about time, selling your time for money, which is what a job is. You talk to anybody that's a really huge proponent of entrepreneurship, they'll tell you like, you never want to sell your time for money, which it's true to an extent.
Right.
If you want to, get out of the rat race, if you want to try to get ahead, that was my point to Don, was that's how side hustles tend to start. People are like, I can't work enough hours to either make ends meet, get ahead, start that next project, whatever. So then people start a side hustle. And then from there, they kind of get that bug where they're like, whoa, like I put 5 hours into this thing and I got paid 10 times the amount I could have ever by putting the hours in at work.
Right.
And then that's where the entrepreneurial journey starts, whether it's for your main thing or your side thing. That has to be the thing. What?
Like your main chick or your side chick?
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, your job for an employer, at some point in most people's life, takes a side chick kind of stance, and your entrepreneurial hobby journey that you monetize becomes the main chick, because if you do it right, or if you do it well enough that it overshadows what you get paid from work, you're like, I want this to be the main thing. I love it. I enjoy it, and it pays me more. And something I tweeted out about it was that, every day, when you sell your time, every day the clock restarts. When you're an entrepreneur and you're selling value, it compounds, right? Mm-hmm. So I could put 5 hours, 5 minutes into something for someone that could return me a 10x on the same 5 minutes or 5 hours that I would put in at most jobs. And that is just a byproduct of making something of value that isn't just tied to your 8 hours that you work or however many hours that you work.
Right. I like that. I don't have anything to say.
Wow, that is so little input.
Well, I mean, I just I don't have anything. I like it. Can I agree? Is that not good enough?
All right, moving on.
No. Like, really, I'm just like, okay, I like the idea. I mean, it totally makes sense, right? Like you compounding and
you don't have to reach.
Yeah,
you don't
I
have to reach. You have your own. I mean, you have things. You've done things forever since you were in your 20s on the side. Like, I figured you'd have some kind of input of when you went maybe from corporate more to in your 20s. I don't know if you have any stories or examples of when you were like, you know what, I'm going to do this for a while. If it was nutrition, if it was CrossFit.
No, I've been corporate.
Bodybuilding.
No, I did corporate until I was a stay-at-home mom, and that was my side hustle. That became my main hustle. And then once I was, and this sounds horrible, when I was done momming a stay-at-home mom, right? I was like, hey, I'm done. Like 2.5 years, I can't like.
They can walk now.
Well, it's not even that. It's just like I don't think I could develop the way that they should have socially developed while they're home alone, right? They needed to have school, and it was fantastic. Mm-hmm. That was the best thing for the kids and their development. Yeah, their social environment. Like, they needed other kids. Like, I feel like that's a huge thing. So then I was ready to go back into the workforce, but I did nutrition the whole time I was even a stay-at-home mom. So yeah, it's just, I like corporate.
Well, that whole thought spawned from me just saying, like, recalling conversations we were having. That was one of them. And then I remember that tweet. And then another challenge to you guys is that if you kind of feel that way about, making ends meet, or just not getting compensated enough, or maybe you need to just go back and negotiate salaries, or maybe you need to try to make a lateral move or an upgrade in that direction. Whatever the case is, I challenge you to do that too. Like, find out what you want to try to make your side chick.
Yeah, your side. I like it. What's your side chick?
Yeah, what's your monetary side chick? What are you doing on the side? Are you selling services? Are you productizing something? And that was the other thing you said. It's like, yeah, productizing. You are the product. Like,
right.
I was telling this Don the other day, like, we can't forget that we are a one of one on the planet, and whatever you've chosen to do based off of the experiences you've had is a one of one product. So whether you tackle that for your company or you tackle that for your own client or the market itself, it's going to be done very originally by you. So look at yourself as the product and go ham.
Can you imagine if there was more than one of me in the world?
There are. It's our daughter.
My mini me. No, but really, like, could the world handle? I mean, like, I think a lot of Robs, and I'm not trying to like blow your
my spot.
Yeah, no, just blow your head up any bigger than it already is. But world could use more Robs. I like you. Like, you're so reasonable. You're like the most even person that I know, and I know that takes a lot of work. No, a lot of work, a lot of effort, especially with me, like just living with me and being in my life and having me in your life. I know that takes a lot of work because I'm a difficult person.
I think most relationships are like that in the sense that there's one one person over the other that's probably a little bit more level-headed. There's probably, because if you get the same, like across the board, and you're both like always, you're just like, hitting each other at the same level, and you're redlining.
You mean toxic?
Yeah, pretty much. It leads to not such a good
But even two that would
relationship.
be too even. I think that dynamic would be rather boring. I mean, maybe.
Well, you'd always be fighting, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. It just we work, and it's fantastic, and I love it. But no, and to that point is like I definitely think the world could use more Roberts, great communicators, even keeled, not. I mean, just I can't say enough wonderful things about you, and it's not because you're here or want anything by any means. So don't just this is where you go like this.
Pretty much, right? Put the harp sound. No, I think those are character traits that most people should try to strive to
100%.
improve.
I wish more people did.
Well, I do too. My sister-in-law asked me like, how do you think you became so like self-aware or focused on self-awareness? I was like, I don't know. Honestly, it was just growing up around a lot of people that didn't seem self-aware,
Yeah, 100%.
or people that didn't have good conversation. In general, when I found out that people didn't have good communication skills or couldn't have a good conversation with the people that they were close to, like whether it was friends, family, or whatever, and you just observe that. When I was young, like, preteen, teen years, I'm like, you're 40 AF and you can't seem to get these words out of your mouth effectively with this other 40 AF person. That's very strange. That was kind of the beginning of like, okay, let's not fall into the hole of being a bad communicator.
And most people have the total opposite. Like then they fall into that, right? That's all they know, so that's all they do, and they get into that cycle of like whatever of horribleness, right? It's just like horrible communication skills. Like, well, that's how I grew up. That's what I knew. Well, do better. And I am guilty of that, right?
Yeah.
I grew up in a very dysfunctional, non-communicative home with like no emotion, and it's just like I did that for so long, and like trying to break that cycle has been horrible. It's been fantastic, but it's been like hard, I should say. It's not been horrible, but it's just been like it's been a challenge, and I've had to challenge myself. And from 30 to 39 in the last 9 years, I'll say even within the last 7 years since you and I have been together, it's been a journey.
I was going to say that it's been a journey.
It's been a journey, but it's been so fruitful and so worth it in all of my relationships. Like, so yes, with us, it's been fantastic, but like all my relationships, the relationship with our kids, the relationship with my parents, my workplace relationships, like everything is just heightened and like taken to the nth degree. And I owe that a lot to you because you actually like opened my eyes to like, hey, do better. Do better. Plus, I put in a lot of work, right? Therapy and all that.
Everyone's
stuff.
got to put in.
But not
work.
everybody has a Robert. And if you don't have a Robert, get yourself a Robert. His shirt says "Best Robert Ever," and
it does.
It's actually the truth,
Best.
And I'm not just saying it because it's our podcast and you guys should listen. But honestly, I've never met more gem of a human than you. So I definitely appreciate that and appreciate your communication. And guys, if you don't know, now you know. Robert is a great conversationalist. You can hit him up on his webpage and you can learn how to be a better communicator, a better entrepreneur, and launch your business. So, Robert Garza, whatever it is.
Media.com. That is like the best way to go out on the podcast. And then we just hit our mark too. So I don't even want to muddy this with anything else.
No. Hey, Rob, leave me with something insightful.
Well, I was going to say, to just piggyback off more of the character trait conversation, is a lot of people want to always have this like gotcha kind of dynamic where you're having a lot of time it comes from disagreements, right? So you have a disagreement with somebody about something, whether it's...
You mean like a checkmate?
In business, right? Well, everybody wants a checkmate, but they'll
Right.
settle for a gotcha, right? They'll settle for just pissing the other person off enough to be able to walk away from the conversation like, God, that showed them, right? And we were all guilty of that until a certain point in time where you get to the, I don't care anymore. Like I saw this clip, it was so funny, I thought, where, you reach your 30s, and you, in your 20s and prior, especially in your teens, you have a huge amount of like FOMO.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And then, and then you kind of reach your 30s and beyond, and you really reach this peak JOMO, which is joy of missing out. And you just, I'm glad I missed on that
that's
thing.
the funniest thing I've ever
That
heard.
looked like it'd be a whole lot of work, or that just looks like it'd be way too many people, or that
That's
looks
the
like...
name of this podcast, JOMO.
Yeah, this episode.
Yep.
The episode, JOMO.
Oh,
yeah,
not
joy of
podcast,
missing
yeah.
out.
Yeah, JOMO. Do you have JOMO?
Yeah, and we haven't talked about it. The show isn't what I'm trying to focus on when it comes to politics, but I love American politics. I have said that it is the best soap opera ever written, and it's
Yep.
happening in real life, and there are actual
Get your
dire
novellas
consequences.
and-
Yeah. And a lot of people hate politics, and they're like, give me a 3-minute... I have a good buddy who's like, give me a 3-minute rundown of that. I'm like...
Oh, you mean your wife?
You too, yeah. I'm like, that's the
gotten better.
dumbest thing, because you just can't... If you say that to somebody, just say, I don't care and don't tell me about it, rather than give me a 3-minute rundown or a 30-second rundown of what's going on. Like, there's so many things.
Now I come to you and like, hey, did you hear or did you know? Because
Yeah.
I am into it now. I pay attention to it more. But yes, JOMO, guys.
So,
But not that Joe. JOMO.
No.
Yeah.
Joy of missing out. So so the character trait that allows you to get to that joy of missing out, I think will allow you to just not have to have the gotcha, not have to checkmate somebody, but rather instead try to articulate what you're saying so well that the other person kind of just falls flat and has nothing to say because they're like, man, you made so much sense.
Come to like some sort of like common ground. That's the goal. So I'd really like to delve into that on another
Sure.
episode, the JOMO and like communication, but just how to navigate those waters and how hard it is sometimes with difficult people.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I think that's a good podcast. But yeah, you're supposed to leave with something insightful, and you just kind of just introduced JOMO, and I want to go into that. So
Well, there we go. This is a good one. We'll just leave it at that. Fist
all right,
bump.
JOMO.
Bye.